Yeah, welcome back to Life Skills Technologies. For some time, we'll be talking about, we'll be dealing with this course on web design with HTML, CSS, MySQL, and PHP. We have a long way to go in this course, but at this juncture, I want you to note that these two basic technologies are very important, especially the HTML and the CSS. So in the couple of videos that I'm going to release now, I will dwell a little on CSS. Then after that, I'm going to work on an application that we're going to use to learn PHP, MySQL, and every other aspect of web design and development. But for now, let's finish up this CSS. Now, in the previous presentation, I talked about all these CSS properties. We have font properties, dimension properties, background, margin, and padding. We want to make use of all of them. Probably all of them in the next couple of videos. Then we have text property, positioning, list and marker, table, classification, and so on. So these are the properties we'll be exploring as from now. And before I go into that, it's very important I talk about div tag and web layouts. Now, if you remember, in one of the previous class or previous video and previous videos, I mentioned development of a real website, that in a real website, you are going to lay out your site. Your site can have a kind of banner or header. It can have navigation bar. It can have the content area, the sidebar, the footer, and different aspects of your site. And in subsequent classes, I'm going to introduce Bootstrap. Bootstrap is HTML and CSS framework that will make life easier in website development, and not only that, it's going to make your site responsive. But for now, let's focus on learning CSS, because if you don't know CSS and HTML very well, it will be very difficult to use any framework like Bootstrap. But for now, let me talk about div tag. Div simply means division tag, to divide your site into different sections. So we use div tag to specify a section within an HTML document. Anything from text to images to videos can be placed within a div. And that's the truth. Now, they are similar to tables, but they are easier to use, customizable with CSS, and load faster than tables. And not only that, if you make use of divs in your site, it will be easier for the search engine to crawl or examine your site, so that your site can be easily indexed on search engine like Google. So making use of div is very important. And for example, a simple web page can consist of a header, a site navigation or menu bar, a content area, and a footer. Now look at how the layout will be. In the body section of your site, you are going to divide your site into this, and you need to apply an attribute called ID or class. I've mentioned the CSS selectors. We have ID selector and we have the class selector. If you watch the previous videos, if you have not done that, I would recommend that you follow this class, watch the previous videos. Now, here, I'm trying to divide this site into 5 areas, and I put all those 5 areas inside the wrapper. I call it overall wrapper. I create a div and I give it ID called overall wrapper. Then inside it, I have a div with ID called header, another one main content, another one site navigation, content area, then the footer. Now you could discover that at the end of the day, the whole 5 areas, the whole 5 divisions are wrapped inside. They are wrapped inside. Sorry for that. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is this. Look at this overall wrapper. I didn't close the div here, but I closed it at the bottom here, making sure the other 5 divisions, they are inside it. Now, the physical layout will be like this. Now, look at this. I have header that will contain the logo, the banner, some information, maybe search bar of the site. Then I have the site navigation bar here. I have the content area here. Then what else do we have again? The header, navigation, content area. Then now we have the footer. So definitely I'm having 4 sections here. Then I wrap everything with a wrapper. So the kind of rectangle enclosing everything. Now if I'm going to correct this, definitely this. Okay, I think I removed something. Now, sorry for that. I need not remove that. The side navigation and this side navigation and the content area, they are also wrapped inside another div called main content. So that can happen. So you see that this div that I give ID of main content, I did not put the closing tag on. I put it right here, and there are 2 divs inside it. Now this is a practical thing. By the time we go into the practical aspect, you will understand. Okay, let's look at another layout. Another layout may consist of a header, a horizontal navigation bar, content area, sidebar, and a footer. Now the layout will look like this. Look at it. There is overall wrapper, and I close it at the bottom here. There is a header, there is a navigation. The main content consists of content area and sidebar like the other one, and there is footer. So in his own layout, we have this. Now definitely in this class, I would like us to create a layout like this. So when we are using our CSS properties, excuse me, we are going to follow this layout, this second one, so that from there we'll be able to learn different CSS property that I intend to explain. Now, alright, there is something that's supposed to be here. What I'm trying to explain here is ID, sorry for that, ID versus class attributes. Now, excuse me. Now, the beginning web designers, they sometimes wonder what is the difference between ID and class. This is what we are saying. Right here, I can say this is a class. I can call this class. You might have already seen that when I was explaining, when I was introducing CSS. Instead of ID, we can call this class. We can make it class. But what's the difference between them? Well, div ID should be used to identify a single element that appears only once. You can use ID only once, but class can be used to identify elements that appear more than once. Well, I don't know how to explain this further until I go into the practical session where you begin to see the difference. So what we are saying is that when you are making use of ID, it means that particular element will appear only once. But when we make use of class, you can apply class of the same name to several div. For example, this sidebar, you can call it header. So if you want to call it header, it can't be hide, it has to be class. So every property you apply to the header here, we also apply to this one because they bear the same name. So let me undo that. They bear the same name. So that is what we are saying. Now, Back to the practical session. Now, in order to do this, I would like you to do something. Let me go to my desktop. I will right click and create a new, let's create a new folder, and let me call it using CSS. Discover that I use small letter and there is no space between that. Now inside the folder I'm going to put the new site I want to